In this video, we'll go over several of the problems from the Supplement 2 homework. First, we'll do problem number 2. We have the square root of x minus 2 equals 4. So I have a square root and it is isolated. There's nothing out in front being multiplied, nothing being added or subtracted. So once that square root is isolated, I can undo it with its inverse operation. The inverse of square root is squaring. So to undo square root, I'm going to square both sides of the equation. On the left-hand side, I undid the square root with squaring, so I'm left with just an x minus 2. And on the right-hand side, I have 4 squared, and 4 squared is 16. At this point, I have a linear equation, so I can solve it. Isolate x by adding 2 to both sides, and I end up with x equals 18. I can always check that by putting 18 in for x. I would have 18 minus 2. The square root of 18 minus 2 is the square root of 16, which is 4. Problem number 4 starts out with x minus 1 in parentheses squared. Again, the left-hand side of the square equation has a square, and there's no other coefficients or terms over here. So I'm ready to undo that squaring by the inverse operation. Inverse of squaring is square root. And I have to remember that when I start with a square, and I see that too, it reminds me I'm going to get 2 answers, the positive and negative options when I square root. So when I take the square root of the left-hand side, x minus 1 squared, I have to also take the square root of the right-hand side. And when I do that, I put a plus and a minus in front of the square root to remind me there's 2 cases. On the left-hand side, I end up with x minus 1 because the inverse operations undid each other, and I'm left with what was originally being taken to the second power. And on the right-hand side, I have plus or minus the square root of 36, which is 6. So I have 2 cases. I have x minus 1 equals positive 6, and I have x minus 1 equals negative 6, and I can solve each of those to get my 2 answers, x equals 7 and x equals negative 5. And again, I could check those solutions by plugging them each back into the original equation and make sure they gave me a true statement. I'm going to do 2 more problems from the homework, problems 5 and problems 7. On problem 5, I had the cube root of x minus 4 equals 2. Again, this is already isolated, so to undo cube root, I would do the inverse operation, which is cubing, taking it to the third power. And I have to do that to both sides. I end up with x minus 4 equals 2 cubed, which is 8. 2 times 2 times 2. Again, I just have one more step to finish solving, and I end up with x equals 12. I can place 12 back into my original equation to check it. And the last problem I'm going to look at is x plus 1 cubed equals negative 8. Again, the part that's being cubed is already isolated, so I'm ready to use my inverse operation. The inverse of cube root is, the inverse of cubing is cube root. So I'm going to take the cube root of each side. And remember, when I take the cube root of a negative number, it gives me a negative number. And I could do that right on my calculator if I'd like to. Or I might just know that negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8. And again, I'll do the last step to solve and get my final answer.